I want to look back at like the first year for Sabby Sabs podcast, which was this year, 2021. And I can't believe it's almost been a year already. I started like doing shows in January. Before that, I was already on YouTube. I used to do vlogs and all. If you go back and watch my old videos, you'll see other stuff. I used to do vlogs and I did like educational videos. Like I used to talk to people about the steps that you needed to take for like first time home buyer program. Like I educated people about that, about working in higher ed. So I used to do a lot of that kind of stuff. And I talked about politics on Facebook, which I found to not be the best place to do that. And like a friend of mine actually told me, she was like, look, instead of writing these long ass essays on Facebook about how you feel politically, why don't you just put it on your YouTube channel? And so that's how this changed into Sabby Sabs podcast. So I figured, yeah, she's right. It's a lot easier to do it as a video instead of typing all this stuff on Facebook. And that's what I used to do like all the time, especially like during the debates too. I was just like, but anyway, it's been a long journey. And I watched this video last night and I got a little choked up. I told myself, I promised myself, I'm not going to get choked up in front of you guys. I'm not going to do that to you. But I did get a little teary eyed. And the reason being is because I realized how far I came. And I just thought about all the things that I went through along the way, like how difficult it was in the beginning. And so anyway, I'm not going to keep you guys waiting. I'm going to go ahead and show the video. But this is going back to the very, very beginning. It's not every video. It's just a compilation of some vids going back to the very, very beginning to when I interviewed Rome. And this was before FHL started, which is now RBN. This is back before I even had a webcam. You're going to notice that this video. But I put together a compilation of different vids that I did like throughout the year for the show. I hope that I have grown and improved as far as this show goes. But here we go. I'm not gonna get choked up, guys. I'm telling you, not gonna do it. Not gonna do it. Gonna mute my mic. Why don't you tell people a little bit about your background?
I mean, I came up just like anybody else from the hood, just, you know, some regular guy coming up, but, you know, I had troubles and I just didn't know where to point to, you know, who made my neighborhood like this and whatnot. And that's what really just got me involved in everything.
Can you tell everyone why you decided to get involved with reparations?
Well, I wrote a book called Healing the Soul of America. And in doing so, it's like I took private American history classes. I hired someone who actually tutored me in American history, the Constitution, all these things. I mean, I had studied what most people have studied, but I needed to take a deep dive.
I know one of the things that you mentioned, and I've talked about this with my friends, like after Bernie like dropped out of the race, is that once he like dropped out, it was like, okay, who's going to lead this now?
That's exactly what happened. And it was just like a vacuum and everybody just kind of scattered out to do their own thing in the same struggle. And the movement needs a person or maybe a group of people who's saying the things, hey, let's all move this way. Let's all move that way. And that's kind of what Bernie was doing. The problem was it was centered around a campaign and an election.
His name is Shahid Buttar. He's an activist and a civil rights lawyer, but you probably know him best from challenging Nancy Pelosi for the U.S. House of Representatives for California's 12th Congressional District. Welcome, Shahid.
Thanks, Sabby. It's great to be with you. Thanks for having me.
A divide with Force the Vote. I think some people were on the side with like Jimmy Dore. Some people were on the side with Cenk Uygur. What do you think like caused like some of that confusion?
To me, it was a way to divert attention. I'm just gonna, make this about a person who I don't like, rather than listen to the fact that you say you've been for Medicare for all for 6 years. I'm going to fight tooth and nail for Medicare for all. And now all of a sudden you're knocking activists who are trying to do it.
A lot of times people will confuse the terms. They'll confuse liberal with progressive and with like socialism as if we're all one thing, but we're not. Can you explain to people what is the difference between those terms?
Liberal is not the left. Liberalism is a center-right capitalist ideology. It believes in allowing the market to handle everything. And what we're seeing is the markets are rigged by the very politicians who say they're going to represent the people, but they actually represent Wall Street.
I personally feel like Democrats are not being aggressive. Like, how do you guys feel about that?
Well, I mean, I think it's disgraceful, for one, the fact that 8 Democrats defected and that Chuck Schumer essentially didn't play more hardball and really use the bully pulpit to try to get those senators in line. I mean, whatever use he has was proven to be extremely lacking in that instance, because if you can't whip those senators into place on a provision which, you know, the Democratic majority was won on. Again, this was a promise that not only Joe Biden, but those senators touted.
What do you think the left needs to do in order to win?
In order to win, the left needs to be more open-minded. Don't be so arrogant. There's a lot of arrogant people on the left, unfortunately. Be open to acknowledge that you don't know everything.
Defund the police is the moderate position. So there are a lot of people that acknowledge how our justice system works, how we've been waging a drug war. And it's very, very interesting to me that you have an entire liberal class that we actually dragged them over the last few decades to the left, where they acknowledge that the drug war was a failure. So they know the drug war is a failure, and they want to legalize marijuana and end the drug war, at least the voters, not the people in power. That's what I'm referring to. So they know the drug war is a scam. They know it's racist. Now, this is why I tell people, you can't be against ending the drug war while opposing defund the police.
If the police lied about being shot from the student's handgun, how do we know they're telling the truth that the student fired at them first? We don't. Looking back on things, why do you think Obama was able to win Ohio?
Obama was a smooth operator. He was very good at convincing people he was something he was not. And I think that that's just why he won, period.
My special guest today is Selwyn Jones. He's the uncle of the late George Floyd. Hi, Mr. Jones.
How are you doing, Miss Sabby? Are you having a wonderful day?
I am. I'm happy it's time for the weekend.
I know. Thank God it's Friday. I got to ask this question.
Mm-hmm.
Are you a Black Italian?
I am not.
Sabby.
No, it's funny because so Salvati is my married name.
Salvati. Okay. Hey, I'm just checking because I ain't seen too many Black French ones. You know what I'm saying? That's so cool.
This is my first live stream, first one hosting, so please bear with me. I have a couple of guests here on our panel. We have Nick from Fred Hampton Leftist. We have Dontel from Unapologetic. And we have Kamali from the Radical Democracy Show. Hey, guys.
Hey, what's up, Sabrina? Thanks for having me. Thanks for having all of us.
Glad to talk to you again, Sabrina.
Their names are Andre, Sharif, and Madeline, and they are organizers for the March for Medicare for All. Hey, guys.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, everybody.
She has filed a discrimination lawsuit against VMware, which is a computer software company. Mm-hmm. Allison, welcome, and thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me.
My special guest today is no stranger to independent media. He is the founder of the MCSC Network. He's an activist, and he created the largest Bernie organization in the country. Everyone, please give a huge welcome to Nico House.
Thank you so much. A really nice introduction. I appreciate it. This is way more important than I actually am, but I will take it.
You had a tweet a while back where you were talking about going to high school in Fayetteville, North Carolina.
Jack Brady,
Yeah, the first thing I said was, "Oh my God, Nico was in the Ville."
Yeah, oh yeah, I was on Strickland Bridge. I was in the Ville. Like, yeah.
Why do you think they didn't teach us about this in school?
Why aren't we taught about it in school? Is our school history to this day is just the most whitewashed, patriarchal, pro-capitalist history you could ever get. It amazed me. I knew growing up that like Columbus wasn't what we were told to some degree, but I was probably, either near 20 or around 20 years old when I first read that his fucking journal entries have him talking about how easily he can enslave people and how if they don't bring him gold, he just cuts off their hands and noses.
Nicole Hannah-Jones. You may remember this story about her from a couple of weeks ago. She was denied tenure from the University of North Carolina. But recently, they have decided to offer her tenure, and she has declined. My special guest today is Jimmy Dore. He's a comedian, and he's the host of The Jimmy Dore Show. Welcome, Jimmy.
Hey, thanks for having me on. This is fantastic. I'm sorry I'm late, but we're here. We're here now.
Oh, no worries. Thanks so much for coming on. Representative Jim Clyburn is speaking out again about defunding the police. Most of the people on this panel have been doing this longer than me, but none of us have been doing this as long as some of the older shows. So we are the new left. I love it when I'm right. I don't always get it right, but what I do, Biden's approval rating hits a new low after the Afghanistan withdrawal. Nina Turner joins TYT. I said Neener. See, I've been in Boston too long, man. I'm starting to put R's at the end of words that don't have an R. From your experience, do you feel like there's some sort of fear in reference to their career as a politician, or do you feel like they're just trying to go along with the group?
Well, first of all, I'm a radical in that I actually try to look at the genesis of things. I try to get down to the root of what the issues are, what the causes are, where the money comes from. And so the question I would ask is, were Justice Democrats ever ours? And the answer that I come to is no, they weren't.
All of those things that you just mentioned that you're concerned about, you're a conservative, I'm a leftist, I'm concerned about all of those things as well.
Yeah.
And this is the thing that media does, that mainstream media does. CNN, Fox News, they divide us between red and blue when the real issue that we should be looking at here is class. I'm not going to sit here and tell you, yes, the path forward and the way to us winning is by putting another person in office and crossing our fingers and hoping that they do the right thing and hoping that they put pressure on Nancy Pelosi or whoever else is in that spot. Because eventually one day it'll be another person and it'll just be another rotating villain and they'll continue to do it over and over. And it'll be another 4 years and another 4 years and another 4 years. And the next thing you know, you'll be 60 years old, 70 years old, and you still didn't get shit. Thank you for bringing that attention to what's going on in the global South as well, Josana. I want to give a shout out to Be the Change. Thank you so much for the super chat. Excellent and much needed discussion. Thanks so much, Be the Change. I don't know if you remember this, Aaron, but do you remember Napster?
Of course.
Yeah, Napster was a streaming service, but the music was free.
Yeah.
And so you could just download songs for free. And then like Metallica had like this riff about it. Like they were really angry and said, no,
Sure.
You don't get our music for free. And it was a whole like ordeal.
Yeah. I spent a dark weekend as a Napster fiend when like my friend had Napster and I just was discovering it. And we could download anything we wanted. And I was just looking at like, how like you can see what you're downloading and like shows the download speed. And I was getting all this. I was getting like, like this was like late 90s or early 2000s. So I was getting all the hip hop that I wanted to get. And I was a fiend. I was like up for like, I don't know, 20 hours at my friend's house just downloading music. And finally it's like, man, like I need my computer back. And you're getting a little like, like you're getting weird. And,
Wow. I told you guys I'm not going to get choked up.
that was a lot. That's not even half of the videos. But like, I just want to say like, thank you to everyone, all of you that have like supported me, that have, watched me, especially like some of you have been with me, like back when I used to interview like candidates. Just, really, oh man, damn. Just thank you guys so much. Cause in the very beginning, it was very hard like doing this. I am not connected, right? So in the beginning, I had no connections. I didn't know anybody. Like I was mainly a lot of times just shooting in the dark, like sending emails to people, like trying to get people to come on, and nobody knew who I was. Most of the time I didn't get a response. Like that was like the majority of the time no one would say anything. And earlier on, I always remember that like Rome came on. Like I did, I met Rome on Twitter. Like Rome was willing to come on. Marianne Williamson came on. She was one of the first, I think, big name people to give me a chance. And like I always remember that. So it's just been a lot of work, and I have a full-time job. And so there were some times when I was like, I didn't know if I was going to continue doing this, because like I said in the beginning, it was really hard. I remember like my videos sometimes would get like 11 views, 15 views. It took me a while to like really figure out the algorithm. And oh, I still remember getting that message from Rome and them saying, hey, can we meet? And then asking me to join like FHL, which later became RBN. And like, you guys don't know like how much that meant to me. Like there aren't many Black people in the space. And obviously, as you can tell, there are very few Black women. And sometimes like I felt like people just wouldn't respond because maybe they didn't respond because they didn't know who I am. Maybe they don't respond because I'm a female. They're a guy. They don't want to talk to a female. Or they wouldn't respond because they're like, oh, it's a Black person. They're not as knowledgeable. And those things happen in this space. And it's one of those things where like, if you're not on the back end, you don't see these things. You don't see what goes on behind the scenes. And so it's been very hard. I get attacked a lot. That's why I told you I try not to really go into my DM message requests on Twitter like that, because it's crazy in there. But I get choked up watching that, because I think about all the things that I went through, like trying to do this, and the fact that I stuck with it, like even through all of that shit, like everything that happened that you guys just don't know about, and people coming at me and threatening me and calling me like racial slurs, like just stuff that you guys don't see. The fact that I still stuck with it, I'm glad that I did, because I just feel like people needed to hear my voice. And I just want to say to you, like, if you're female, male, whatever, and you're thinking about doing this and you're nervous, like one thing I will tell you, reach out to me if you ever need a pep talk, because I did have people that were supportive. Like once I was up and running, that gave me pep talks when I was like, man, people here are crazy. I'm about to be out. Like those people like really have been like a support system. So I'm glad that like I stuck with it. But I did a lot of shit. Like I literally look back on it and I'm like, damn, I have a lot of videos. Like I told you guys that like I have 70 articles to write. Well, actually 65 now by next week. And that's for Roundtable. And those are the people I told you that they signed me and all that kind of stuff. And I had to take each of my YouTube videos, the ones that I'm going to put on there, and then write articles for them. So I've been really, really busy. And had it not been for like Nico, I don't know if I would have been given that opportunity. Had it not been for people like Misty from like Facts on the Ground, like she has been so supportive. And that's really important to have in this space, because the fact of the matter is, if you're not connected with people and you're not connected with the right people, people will easily ignore you. They will avoid you. They will block you. There are people who will block you from getting to other people. These things happen. So yeah, I told you guys I wasn't going to get choked up, but no tears came out. I got a little emotional, but no tears, you know. I got to stay strong. But I just want to say thank you guys so much for just like even wanting to watch me or even wanting to like listen. You know, I'm not a candidate. I didn't run for office. Like, I don't have a best-selling book by the New York Times. I'm not this scholar. I'm not a professor, you know. But that doesn't mean that I don't have something to say. That doesn't mean that I'm any less educated or any less intelligent than those people. And that's what I want you guys to know. Don't feel like you have to have a certain title to have a voice. I think that's very important, you guys. I saw a couple of chats come through. Thank you so much, Richard Coates, for the super chat. Keep fighting the good fight. Thank you so much for that. What's going on, Robin? You're awesome. Robin does a lot of the thumbnails over at RBN, you guys. She does a lot of our graphics. She did them all for the General Strike Summit. Like, shout out to Robin. Merry Christmas, happy holidays, peace on earth, goodwill towards all. She helps us out a lot over at RBN. Thanks so much for the super chat, Finn Shopes. Thoughts on Caleb Maupin? I brought him on too. Excuse me. I brought him on too. I told you guys, like, I'll talk to anyone. I may not always agree with everything that they say. I don't agree with anyone on everything. I really don't. But I will talk to anyone. And I think that, oh man, like when I freaking look back on it, man, like what the hell? I did a lot of videos, and it's like I said, so I started in January with my show, and this is just to show you guys. This is starting like right now. I'm live right now. And if you go all the way down, I mean, I'm going all the way back till so many people have been on here. So many people. Princess Blanding, This is Revolution. There's Caleb. Kim Iverson was on here. Max Blumenthal, Danny Haifong. Like, it's a lot of work, man. And then if you go all the way back, this is when you'll start to see the candidate videos. There's Christine Olivio. There's Colin Bird. Steve Cox. Laura Felding. I did activist videos. Ali Dowsimer. That's when Nick came on right after he started, like FHL. Joel Richards was local. He ran for office here in Boston. Erica Eiderhoven, she won. Actually, she ran as a Democratic Socialist and she won here. Another local Bostonian candidate. Chris Smalls was on here. Like, it's been a lot of people. Like, I look back on it and you'll see Marianne Williamson goes all the way back. And then there's Rome. So, man, all I have to say again is thank you guys so much. I could not have done it without you. And I also want to give a special shout out to my family who there's no way I could have done this without them. I couldn't have done it without my husband, my sister, my mom, my dad. Like, they are like really, really supportive of me. And that's what you guys may not know. Like, I have a really strong like support team. So special thank you to them. And I can't forget also who you can't see right now because he's in the background, but I have to give a shout out to Eric Thomas, who's my producer, who you guys can't see. I'm sorry, but couldn't have done this with, like, honestly, before Eric came along, I was kind of a mess behind the scenes. Like, I think you guys saw some of that sometimes where I was just like, oh my God, what is happening? Why can't I find? So Eric helps keep things going like smoothly in the background. But without those people, man, like, I've had a lot of help and I really appreciate all of it. And I appreciate all you guys. And, but I'm not going to cry on here.